What's your favorite spy thriller? This one came out in 2010 and was basically a one and done, but I bet if it had come out in 2025, it would have got a full streaming season on Prime Video. It's day 102 of 365. Today's movie, Salt. There's over 150 posts on Ticket Stub Movie Club now, including my full book, a vodcast, and these daily Stub reviews. Directed by Phillip Noyce and starring Angelina Jolie, Liev Schreiber, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, this is one of those spy movies that kind of got swept under the rug after it came out. It was successful, it made back 3 times its budget, but people just don't talk about this one anymore, and I'm a little confused as to why, because it's pretty fucking good. Noyce is known for his political spy thrillers, and Angelina Jolie carries this movie on her tiny, broad shoulders. So if I had to guess, it's because it opened against Inception. Even for how good this movie is, there's just no competition with a giant on the top 10 of IMDb's top 100. When I saw this one in 2010, it was up there with other spy thrillers that I was enjoying at the time. I was a huge fan of the Bourne Ultimatum series, and this feels right in line with that, Mission Impossible, and James Bond. Honestly, it could pass as a better Bourne movie with Russian spies, disguises, and amazing combat. Maybe we can chalk it up to the misogyny at the time, but this is one of those movies that I just don't understand why it didn't get the sequel that it set up. Everything here was set up to do that. It got the right amount of money. At the box office, Angelina Jolie still has a giant following. There's just seemed to be no downsides other than it opened against a killer movie, and maybe people just don't like a female lead. Regardless, I found a lot to like here, so let's jump into the 3 things that I enjoyed about Salt. The first thing that I really enjoyed about Salt is the opening chase sequence. Shout out to my buddy Jesse Fresco, who actually worked on this movie. He let me know that on Letterboxd, where I'm scoring every single movie that we're doing in this series. This was apparently his first feature film major production that he worked on. So shout out, dude. I think that's really dope that you worked on this movie. The chase sequence on the freeway is all of the building blocks for Captain America Winter Soldier. I don't care what you say. I think the Russo brothers were taking notes from Noyce because he's the guy that does political thrillers, and that's what Winter Soldier is at heart. It makes sense that that would have been part of their research project. They're big budget Hollywood guys. They like pop culture stuff. So instead of going into the deep 70s archives, they probably looked at directors like Noyce to make a movie like this. Because of that, we get this super intense, almost superhuman, but not quite chase sequence with multiple jumps from truck to truck, as well as stealing a motorcycle. It feels a little inspired by The Matrix, but toned down. It feels inspired by Winter Soldier, but toned down. It's just that much more realistic. Now, on Letterboxd, Jesse pointed out that he doesn't find it realistic that Angelina Jolie could do the kinds of things that she does in this movie because she's a very tiny person. I feel that, although I feel like the camera crew also went to great lengths to make her seem taller and more like supermodel-like in this movie. She reads as 6'1" on screen, even though I know she's not. That's kind of crazy, but of all the things that I really enjoyed in this movie, I had totally forgotten that opening chase sequence where she gets cornered in parts of DC that I've driven through multiple times in my life, having lived in that area. It's always cool to find a movie that's in your hometown, and whenever it pops up in this way, I'm like, wow, I prefer an action movie like this, so I can imagine the parkour guy that runs alongside the car that everybody knows about doing things like this. Salt would have inspired me as a kid to imagine those kind of things driving around DC, so I'm gonna list this as my first favorite. The second thing that I love about this movie is Angelina Jolie. Oh my God, I've yet to see her in anything where she's expressly bad. But in a movie like this, she's really carrying. Now, this is a cool cast overall. I was a little impressed to see the people in this that I totally forgot were in the cast. A lot of the critics at the time, and I agree, Jolie carries this movie. She's playing it so soft and gentle against her husband character, who plays the Nazi in Inglourious Basterds. I thought that was a really interesting twist after we had just talked about that one from the previous year. I was like, oh wait, he's just a normal nice guy in this movie. That's kind of crazy. Having her act alongside him and play that as a real relationship, something that was her first real love in her life after being raised the way that she was as a double agent, I thought it was really interesting that she could also play into the hard tack, I can just kill people, mystique kind of feeling The final scene in the helicopter really cements that too, where she's able to play it all the way forward and say, no, if I wanted to kill, I could do this. I'm very convincing, and I took out a whole boat of these guys on my own. Now, like Jesse said on Letterboxd, whether or not that's believable for Jolie as a real person, probably not. But that's what makes her a great actor, is that she can make it believable within a movie. I'm just always so impressed by someone that can play a character that feels that way across the screen when you know in real life they just aren't that way. There are so many opportunities for her softness to show across the movie, and I'm always impressed by that. Her taking the time to save her little dog and to communicate with a neighbor child. Those kinds of things show who she is at heart, why she switched and loves America by the end. We don't need a whole monologue about her jingoistic patriotism. The reason she loves America is because it was her first taste of real freedom of being herself, even though she was a double agent. She has the ability to compartmentalize those things as a character because that's what she was trained to do. It's just that her training backlashed against the Russians. And I find these little interplays to be really, really unique and interesting. She also apparently did a lot of her own stunts and suffered a head injury while doing this movie, specifically the scene where she was scaling the outside of the apartment building. They were going to green screen and she says, no, I want to do this for real. That's why it looks so good, and boy does it look good. The third thing that I love about Salt is its new take on the whole double agent setup. Now, the double agent usually happens as a twist within a movie. If you're going to have a double agent, letting the audience know that within the first 10 minutes is kind of a crazy move, but it leads to this feeling of the audience gaslighting themselves whether or not they can believe it. Now, not only that, but we end up with a triple agent twist in this one because, of course, in a spy thriller about double agents, you have to have an extra level to that. This is where I think a lot of the audience was left behind. When you look at reviews for the time, they said it's a very illogical movie. And I kind of understand that. The idea that she was genuinely trained as a Russian operative to replace an American agent to then end up siding with America, it's a little bit of a stretch. But if the goal of your movie is to make a movie about double agents, you would do that by expressing the double agent in the first 10 minutes. And that's exactly what the movie does. Its thesis is spelled out for you by her handler during his interrogation. He never lies. They make note of that off of the machine that's doing, I guess, his MRI polygraph technology that doesn't exist to my knowledge. But he's not lying in that scene. He's actually informing the audience of the opening plot, what the backstory is here. And so that's the movie telling you, hey, this is what the movie's about. If someone has had their mind twisted, what's to prevent them from untwisting it or twisting it again? There's nothing that you can predict once you've taken the predictability out of a human being, because now they know how to be unpredictable. The point of the film is that you can't guess, and that her shift to end up on our side is only to keep her within the protagonist's role. Now, if I were doing a film rescue episode, I would actually pitch that there'd be a quadruple twist where she takes out Liev Schreiber's character and then ends up launching the missiles herself, turning into a quadruple agent. I feel like that would have been the coolest twist on a twist on a twist on a twist. But that's just me wanting to ramp things up. What do you think? Did you enjoy Salt? Is this a spy thriller that you've revisited since 2010? We're gonna switch from political and serious to very unserious, but still action-filled. We're talking about The Other Guys next, and I'll see you tomorrow.